Next, we have with us Mr. Atul Lall, Vice Chairman and MD of Dixon Technologies. Mr. Lall holds a master's degree in management studies from the BITS Pilani. He's been leading Dixon Technologies since its foundation and helped achieve its current leadership position in the EMS industry. He's responsible for Dixon's overall strategy and business operations. Aside from serving as board member on other group companies of Dixon Technologies, Mr. Lall has also been serving as an independent director on the board of Happy Forgings. For over 30 years of experience in the EMS industry, introduction of new segment lines and rolling out expansion strategies is his forte. He served as a member of the Technical Evaluation Committee for Electronic Manufacturing Services under the MSIPS, which is constituted by the DT, and served as a representative of LCNA on the Committee for Reliability of Electronic and Electric Components and Equipments Limited of the BIS. He is an avid reader and has authored the book Gita in India Inc. He is also an avid golfer. He's been elected as the president of Electronic Industries Association of India and has been conferred with the Man of Electronicals by CIMA, which is the leading industry body association. He's also on the governing board of Plaksha University. Mr. Lall will be making a short presentation on the evolution and roadmap of Dixon Technology in the Indian EMS sector. This will be followed by a fireside chat and Q&A with our CEO, Mr. Nirav Seth. And without much ado, sir, over to you.
Morning, everyone. Thanks, leadership team of MK, for hosting me. It's really a pleasure. And I remember that I was here exactly a year back. And also, I really want to thank all the stakeholders for having faith in Dixon and Dixon's business model. I humbly thank you for that. Thank you. So here, today morning, I'll just share some of the insights of what electronics manufacturing services sector is all about, and how Dixon is positioning its business model there in this sector, and how do we plan to pursue our next growth journey. Globally, electronics manufacturing is about $3 trillion, and that's the number. And the sector that is outsourcing an EMS is approximately 30% of the global electronics industry, which is $1 trillion. When we look at the Indian share, it's minuscule. It's barely 3% as compared to 48% of China. So that's the number. But the kind of growth in this sector, and that's thanks to the evolving global geopolitical situation, Indian industry itself acquiring a significant level of competence, and also very positive government policy framework, we are, as a sector, pursuing a very high growth journey. We feel that in coming time and a short time, from 3%, we're going to be almost at 8%. So as compared to any other industry, any other country, as a country, we are on a very high growth path. So undoubtedly, there is a very strong conviction now. If you see around 8 to 10 years back, a large portion of electronics goods being sold in India were imported from Far East or from China. And now we are of an absolutely strong conviction and that all electronic goods being sold in India largely would be manufactured in India. So the electronics consumption in India is extremely low as compared to the other countries. We are barely at $78. So if India grows the way it's growing, and there is some kind of an inflection point at around $3,500. Once we reach $4,000, this $78 of per capita electronics consumption is going to have a many-fold jump. So that's the growth opportunity as far as electronics consumption in India is concerned, and this consumption is going to be serviced by domestic manufacturing. So Indian electronics sector is somewhere around $90 billion. Out of that, the EMS portion is around $22 billion. And if you see, the large portion of Indian electronics is on the consumer side. The largest contributor is mobile phones. I'll come to it later, but that's the reason we in Dixon have pursued a very aggressive trajectory in mobiles. And then it's consumer electronics. So out of almost $90 billion, 50% is belonging to these two particular domains, product categories. This $90 billion is expected to touch by 2030 almost $300 billion. So there is growth coming in the other categories as well, in autos, in industrial electronics and others, telecommunication, networking products, IT. Now, if you see in Dixon's case, we are already significantly present in the largest contributors to this category's number. We have a major presence in mobiles and in consumer electronics and appliances. So this was strategically positioned like this. And this is where we are going to be growing, and also now we're making an attempt to get into other sectors. Let's see where we reach there. In India also, just like it's global, it's there globally, that out of $3 trillion industry, $1 trillion is EMS, almost 30%. Same is the case in India. Almost 33% is EMS opportunity. So what we are saying here is that out of $100 billion, the EMS opportunity is going to be almost $28 to $30 billion. And look at it from Dixon's perspective. We are growing at a very fast pace. Out of $22 billion EMS opportunity, last year we closed at 11%, almost to $2.2 billion. So I'm not giving any guidance or anything, but what we are looking at is that the opportunity, if we maintain the same share, is going to be humongous. So out of this $20 billion, almost in 80% of the contributor of EMS, as far as product category is concerned, we are present. We are present. And we are in 9 businesses. We are in mobile, security surveillance systems, IT products, televisions, telecom, hearable wearables, lighting and AC components, washing machines and refrigerators. Now, out of these 9, 4, wherein you are seeing the darker blue, is Dixon's IP. So we offer our own product solutions. These are the solutions which are designed by Dixon. That is televisions, lighting, washing machines, and refrigerators. Just a slide on when we got listed in 2017-18, where we were and where we are now. So the revenue has grown by 7x, and I feel fairly confident that in current fiscal from 23-24 to 24-25, we should double it. Because the order book is extremely healthy. The market cap, the market has supported us. We have grown by almost 9x. Employees have grown to almost 27,000. In a year's time, we should be almost at 40,000. One interesting data point I would like to share with you is that when we got listed, when we went in for our IPO, the total primary that we have raised is only 60 crores. So we have not raised any funding for this growth, and practically there is no debt on the balance sheet. So all this has happened through the internal accruals, through the cash flows. And today we are working on negative operating cycles. So in Dixon's case, in EMS business, we realized that we are subservient to the principles, and cost effectiveness and balance sheet management is extremely important. So scale is very important because that's what generates an operating leverage. So we try to be number one in all the categories that we are present. We try to build a capacity of 30, 40, 50% of the industry and deepen the manufacturing. That's a simple mantra, and a huge focus on current assets so that the return on capital employed is 30, 35%. That's a simple mantra we play. In the 9 categories, we are out of 9 in 7, we are number 1. Refrigerators, which is a new project, we are already number 4. And in IT products, we are number 2. Also, what we try is that in all the categories that we are there, we're at least 3 to 4x of our peers in competition, because that comparative edge is extremely important to create a moat for us. So this is a simple mantra that we pursue: scale to generate operating leverage. So we have largely been growing horizontally, adding new product categories and adding new customers to each product portfolio. But now we feel the time has come to become a larger part of the value chain. So we're going to be participating in the component ecosystem and deepen the value addition. The balance sheet allows it, the timing allows it, and the opportunity is there, and we feel that the government policy framework in next phase of supporting electronics manufacturing in India is going to be in the component sector. Third, of course, is we continue to expand our categories. So next, we have already been able to do in the categories that we have a pole position. Largest piece of mobiles is the largest trigger of our growth. We feel that the next trigger of growth is going to be IT products, which is a $10 billion opportunity. And also, we are making an attempt. It's only at a very initial stage of getting into industrial electronics and automotive electronics. We have a positive traction in these. Also, we feel that to capture a larger part of the value chain, we should be owning the IP. But it's simpler said than done. It's not a simple thing. There are challenges of talent, there are challenges of technology availability. At present, this initiative is confined to 4 product categories, which I had shared in the earlier slide. That's televisions, washing machines, refrigerators, and lighting. So as I shared that the largest trigger of our growth, wherein I'm talking about that we're going to be growing at 100% this year, is mobiles, because please appreciate that's a 4 lakh crore industry in India. And I think as a team, we have done fairly well. In the Android ecosystem, all the brands are our customers. So we have Samsung. Number 1 brand in India is Xiaomi. Number 2 is Samsung, as far as volume is concerned. And number 3 is Oppo. And then we have Motorola. So all the top 7, 8 brands in the Android ecosystem are our customers. Now comes the bigger question: what next? So we feel that now is the apt time for the country, for the industry, and for Dixon to take a plunge into non-semiconductor component ecosystem. And just to share with you some numbers, in a $100 smartphone, almost $50 is non-semiconductor BOM. Where I'm talking about display modules, where I'm talking about mechanicals, precision components, connectors, audio modules, camera modules. And now your company is taking a plunge there. That is the critical piece. And also, this is much more margin accretive. And if we are able to get this execution right, it's not simple, but if we are able to get this execution right, then this gives a huge moat to the company. It gives a competitive edge to the company when we pitch ourselves, when we benchmark ourselves against competition. It's a scale, it's backward integration, and it also, we are able to stand on our own feet beyond PLI. So what we are trying is in phase 1, and that's going to happen in the next 12 to 18 months, that 15% of $100 is going to be captured in-house. And then in phase 2, in 24 to 30 months, almost $25 is going to be captured in-house. And here, what we are talking is not only for captive consumption, we are talking about servicing the industry, wherein we are talking about almost 130 million phones. And this particular category is much more margin accretive. It is going to require a higher level of capital intensity, but this blend, when we have done the number crunching, we feel is perfect for Dixon. As a part of this journey, we have successfully got into a collaboration, a financial collaboration with one of the largest display manufacturers, HKC. So display module plant should be operational next 12 months. The applications have been submitted to the government for Press Note 3 waiver. It's a 7624 venture, and initial capacity is going to be 24 million, which is going to be doubled to 48 million. So this display is not only going to be for mobiles, it's also going to be for notebooks and tablets. Further, in this particular component sector, we are pursuing partnerships in the mechanical side, in injection molding, in CNC, in die cuts, in precision components. And we are fairly confident that very shortly we should be able to conclude these types. As a part of our next growth journey, as I shared with you, IT products is the next trigger of growth, for which we are setting up a campus in Chennai. We are targeting that by Q4 of this fiscal, that campus should become operational. And in this also, we have acquired, I can't name the brands, the top 4 global brands in the country are our customers. So this is on the IP ODM expansion, which is a separate initiative effort. However, at present, it's confined to these product categories, wherein we are pushing more and more for ODM solutions. The ODM margins are definitely higher, but it's not easy to pursue. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Thanks so much. So any questions, you're most welcome, please.
So, Atul, this explains why Dixon stock is doing what it is doing. But let me thank you very much for being a part of this. This is not your second main track presentation, this is third one. But I also guess that you are very auspicious because from the last time your market is up 2.5 times from the last presentation that you made. So thank you very much. And happy to take questions, but when we look at normal B2B business models, usually they are not characterized by reasonably high ROCs and ROEs. And it's not that you got a monopoly because you got well-established global players in India, Foxconn and what explains, what is the secret sauce? What allows you to generate scale and high ROCs and ROEs?
You see, there is a deep realization within Dixon, within the leadership of Dixon. Let me explain in very simple terms. What is this business all about? Let's say when I manufacture a phone for Samsung, Samsung knows phone manufacturing much better than anybody else in the world. So that means as an EMS, you're always subservient to a principle. And that means your capital allocation, your cost efficiency, your working capital efficiency, your current assets efficiency, your nimbleness, these are extremely critical parameters. Only when you have an ideal mix of all these parameters, you get your business model right. And what happens is that once you become successful, you get carried away. And the capital allocations start going wrong. Not wrong, you become liberal. You see, please appreciate in Dixon's case, we have an asset turn of 20. The largest of global EMSs, they don't generate an asset turn of even 5, 6. So we are ensuring that happens. And I think that's what has worked for us. You see, we have now reached an ROC of 35% plus. And we feel that it can be much higher. There are still many inefficiencies in the system which need to be corrected. And now once we have that kind of capital efficiency in the system, my balance sheet allows me to take a plunge in something what one is trying to do in making investments in the component sector, which builds the moat for the company, which also is margin accretive, and also helps Dixon standing on its own feet, because any industry, it gets government policy framework support only for a limited period of time. Beyond that, you have to stand on your own feet. And that's what we are aspiring to do. And on the softer aspect, I feel when I mentioned that we are subservient to the brand owner, that should be the ethos, that you can't get carried away. So even today, I know, any customer's logistics executive will call me up at 11 o'clock at night. कि अतुल जी मेरी गाड़ी नहीं निकली है. And I better check out कि गाड़ी क्यों नहीं निकली है भाई. So that's the nature of this industry, and you need to respect. Every industry has its contours.
So, you mentioned in terms of deepening the fact that now we've got virtually a reasonable market share in, let's say, mobiles, for example. How did you zero down on which components that you want to get into? What was the core philosophy over that? Secondly, how far are we away from, can we do this with our own technology? Or do you think that the first step is obviously getting access to global technologies and then build on it? How do you think this will evolve over the next 3, 5, 10 years?
So we were quite clear that we are going to be pursuing a relatively easier path as far as technology is concerned. So we have not gone the semiconductor way. When we analyze the numbers, we realize that 50% of bill of material of a mobile is non-semiconductor. And also the capital intensity in this particular sector is relatively much lower as compared to the semiconductor sector. So we have pursued. So in our case, the first plunge is into display modules. The second is into mechanicals, the die cuts, the precision components. Now, can they be done completely with the indigenous technologies? Well, everything can be done, but why reinvent the wheel? So we have pursued the partnership route, and India is a growing market, and I see a lot of positive response from the potential partners. So as I shared that on display, we have already concluded our partnership, and in precision components and mechanicals and plastics, we'll be doing it very shortly. And that will be followed by camera and audio modules. So that will take us to somewhere between 25 to 28% of the BOM, which is very significant. Please appreciate that China, in spite of being the largest manufacturer of mobiles, is still sitting only at 40% value addition.
So, and when you get access to these technologies for displays and all that, is it restricted to serving customers or in geography, or you virtually are free to travel with that?
So initially, this is a complex process getting customers' approval to get your display fitted into, let's say, a Xiaomi phone or a Samsung phone. It's a long drawn exercise. So first is going to be for captive, and then the pitch is going to be beyond Dixon's production because there is going to be an arbitrage on cost. And then the partner assures that it can become a footprint for servicing the global markets. So that's the way it's going to be.
And again, just wanted to understand, because you're still on mobiles, if you want to tap virtually on all Android phones, and if you want to tap into Apple ecosystem, do they require you to exclusively work with them, not with other partners, or do you think that you're not in that part of the game?
No, all of us intend to be a part of the iOS ecosystem. But Apple is a very dominant force. And if you see, since the iPhone was launched back in 2008, and they've largely confined themselves only to 3 EMS partners. It started off with Foxconn, Wistron, Pegatron. And only 4-5 years back, they've given an entry to Luxshare, the Chinese conglomerate. So same thing happened in India. They have nudged Foxconn, Wistron, and Pegatron. Only now they've given an entry to Tata's when they bought the Wistron plant. So please appreciate such a large opportunity of Apple is confined to very limited EMSs, because in Apple's case, one has seen that they control everything. They control the way you breathe. So they have to spend a lot of energy in setting up an EMS. Now, whether Indian EMSs are going to get an opportunity, I feel it's a matter of time. Just wait and watch.
So, you mentioned about expanding into newer categories, and it's very important because that is what causes delta change in profitability and market cap. And we've seen with multiple companies, Titan started with something else. So many companies started with something else. Is it easier now for you, given the scale and the market cap and the visibility, to try and acquire customers, let's say, for example, in laptops and electronics, than what it was when you're initially building up your dominance in mobiles? Is execution risk lower now?
No, definitely. You see, customer acquisition is the key in this business, because it de-risks your business, it adds to your numbers. So once you acquire the scale, and along with the scale, you acquire a very different level of competence. Please appreciate getting approved by a customer like Samsung or Lenovo. It's a long drawn task. The technical approvals, the quality system of approvals, the approvals of a manufacturing execution system, supply chain, ERPs, training and development, your HR policies. So once you acquire that competence along with the scale, it definitely has a huge multiplier effect. Let's say you are approaching Lenovo and they know that Samsung has qualified you. So at least that mental block is kind of taken care of.
I'll have one more question and then I want to open up to the audience as well. Auto seems to be slightly, it's not necessarily a category that comes very quickly to the mind. I'm sure that you would have thought about it, right? So it's part of initial days, but you're looking at that space. What is the synergy? What are the thoughts? Why autos?
You see, we felt that in the opportunity pool, automotive electronics, wherein the auto sector is transforming and migrating to more and more electronics, and this is an opportunity for us. It's still at a very nascent stage. We are working with some of our global partners who are already in this space, and that is what is nudging us towards that. So through our global partnerships, we're already existent, who are in this space, who have fairly large tie-ups with the global brands in auto, and who are looking for potential partners in India. That's the way it's being pursued, but it's too initial a stage.
Very happy to take questions.
Hi, my question is, as you move into the component space, you clearly mentioned all the benefits of doing that, and I totally agree with you. But on the flip side, you mentioned it's also more capital intensive. Do you think it'll also have a negative impact, not negative impact, strong word, would you think it'll impact your asset turns and your working capital and your ROCE going forward? as a business?
So you see, the first foray is into display modules. In display modules, the asset turn is not going to be 1:20, but it's going to be 1:8 or something, which I feel is not bad at all. And it's margin accretive. So on a blended basis, I think we are fine with it. And also as far as the operating cycle and current assets and working capital efficiencies there, it's very, very good. When we're looking at the mechanical components, the capital intensity is going to be higher. But the margin accretion is also of a different order. So we feel that on a blended basis, again, we are fine. Because I can't play only a high asset turnover game and only a high ROC game. We have to be long-term players, and bringing that comparative strength, that technical capability, pursue the path which the government wants, which the government is going to incentivize, and also stand on our own feet, I reiterate, beyond PLI. So that's the reason we have chosen. We feel that it's important for us.
Thank you. I have a question which is, geopolitics was accelerating localization in India for a while. And then we've also seen that the anti-China engineer movement and other movement and, politics of it is now easing from a central perspective. We're saying they're willing to be more open to Chinese investment or Chinese participation here in recent months. I'd love you to explain what are the other pushes and pulls from a geopolitical perspective that will impact business and your sector particularly over the next few years. I'll add one color. There was some videos floating around Apple starting a new facility in Zhengzhou because of whatever reasons, and so the theory I think that was a bit of a there was an agenda behind that video, but basically it was saying that Apple's going back to China. But I just love you to answer the bigger question. What are the pushes and pulls on the geopolitical side, and how will that impact your business?
You see, all of us respect that country's nation security is of prime importance. And after that incident on the border of Galwan, the initiatives taken by the government by bringing in the investment from the border countries under Press Note 3 and also restricting the movement of Chinese engineers into India, delayed visa issues, and also regulatory interventions on the Chinese brands in India. I think that was the course, which I think there is also a realization now, and that it's not that the imports of electronics into India as far as components is concerned from China is reducing. And if you see the last economic survey of India, the chief economic advisor has made that statement, wherein he says that instead of trade, the FDI is more welcome. And also I'm seeing that the Press Note 3 waivers, they were started giving. And also we interface with the government from the industry side. We see that change happening. And also the government is realizing that not only for the devices, but also for the component sector, China is much, much ahead, and you really need to use that for bringing the investments and technology into India. There's no point reinventing the whole wheel. And there is also a possibility in that in these components, and here I'm talking about non-semiconductor component, it's not only going to be for domestic consumption, you're going to become a part of the global value chain. So I can see that trend happening. And to be very candid, in Dixon's case, we are aligning our policies keeping this in mind. So I can see that change. Even on the visas, they had started liberalizing almost 8-10 months back. Today in Dixon campuses, we have more than 70 Chinese engineers operating. It's not absolutely seamless, but it's happening. And now they've announced the e-visas. So I think it's going to be better. And also, I think the last meeting of the two foreign ministers, Wang and Mr. Jaishankar, I can see the tide changing. So I think that's the path going to be. I hope there are no incidents which disturb this kind of a trajectory. As far as Apple is concerned, I think they are committed to India. They are going to be deepening into India. But as far as this presence in China is concerned, I think it's going to be pursued as aggressively as it was earlier. If you have seen the statement of the Treasury Secretary, they're talking about low number of products and high fence. So it's not that they're going to ban everything in their trade relations with China. But definitely India's position geopolitically as far as electronics manufacturing is concerned and for this largest of brand is concerned is going to grow. It's going to deepen. That's what we feel strongly about. And our game plan is as per that.
Hi, Atul. Just two questions related to the investments in the components part of the. How much of this is driven by the customers themselves? So essentially, the offtake is assured, and do the customers also share a part of the capex, and thus helping reduce the capital commitment which would otherwise have happened? And just one more thing, is there a government subsidy also embedded in these projects which you wish to undertake in future?
So responding to the first part of your question, yeah, definitely these investments are aligned with what the customer expects. So what we are propositioning is that there is a commercial advantage to the customer in doing the sourcing from within India. So it's not only a nudge from the government or anything of that kind, it's also a commercial advantage. That's the most important thing, otherwise there's no business case. Okay. So that has been captured in business modeling. As far as CapEx is concerned, it's purely of Dixon and our JV partner. There's no CapEx from the customer as such.
Okay.
So just to share with you the numbers, at least in display modules, it's not a very heavy CapEx and Dixon's balance sheet allows that. It's a CapEx of $40 million.
Okay.
So it's approximately 300 crores, which we are fine. And all that 24% is going to come from our partner.
Correct.
In precision components, the number crunching is being done still.
Okay.
We have adequate cash flows to support all this, but there is no customer CapEx.
Understood.
The third is that in the business modeling, any government subsidy, has been captured and embedded? No. We have not done that. It's purely on a normal commercial model. We have not built in any subsidies. However, we are interfacing with the government. I'm also heading ELSINA, which is the Electronic Component Industry Association. I'm the president there. And we're pursuing with the government. We strongly feel that subsidies in the form of PLI are going to be rolled out for non-semiconductor components, in which we are also foraying. But if that happens, that's an added bonus.
Understood.
In the present business model, we have not included that.
Got it. And if I may slip in one more question, I mean, just want to understand what will change for Dixon to move into the semiconductor part of EMS as well?
So we have studied that. I think we have too much on our plate.
Okay.
There's an internal bandwidth issue.
Okay.
And I think that's an entirely different domain. So at present, I don't think we have the bandwidth in Dixon to pursue that. You know, when you're growing at this kind of levels, when you're getting into a new category of components, when you again go to attempting to build your IT business to a different level, you're pursuing a path of aggressive customer acquisition, there's too much on our plate. We are still a small, medium-sized company.
Got it. Thanks so much.
Hi, sir. Hello. Hello. Yeah. So, few questions there. Thanks for articulating your opportunity size as far as the EMS opportunity is concerned. But I think exports also is a large opportunity, which probably 3-4 years back, at least as far as lighting is concerned, mobiles are concerned. So how should one look at that piece in your overall journey in terms of growth matrix there?
Mobiles, I think, is the first opportunity, and our largest anchor customer as of now is Motorola. And in Motorola, we feel we're going to have almost 9,000 crores of business this year, if not more. And 30% is going to be for US market. So at least one piece, I think, with our partners, we have been able to crack. We are deeply engaging our latest acquisition of Transsion, because they have a very large share of market in Africa, and that can it be executed from India? Let's see. Our third customer, Nokia, which is a large presence in the feature phone and 2G phones, we are at almost 1.5 million units, and out of that, almost 300K, 20%, is going to be for global markets. So it's early, it's still small, but we are pursuing that path. Lighting, I've been claiming for some time now, we have not had a breakthrough, but I feel that we're close to a breakthrough.
So the other thing is, if you look at your journey in last decade, and especially in last 6-7 years, what we have seen is you get into a new category, you ramp up really well, but competition also catches up. We have seen out of the 9 categories where you're leaders, at least 4-5 categories have seen some amount of competition come in. Mobile as a segment hasn't seen that. So any particular pattern that you see, or because when competition catches up, you also have to ensure that that piece of revenue gets replaced, or for your growth patterns, you have to ensure that new category comes in. So just from that perspective, as far as competitive landscape is concerned.
So Abhishek, as I shared, that what we try to do is build a large scale to generate an operating leverage, and we try that we're at least 3-4x of our competition. But to be very candid, the entry barriers to this business are relatively lower. The capital investments, the build-ups, right? So not all the business can be with us. But just to share with you the numbers, let's say televisions, we are at 3 million odd units, and our competition is at 1 million, 1.2 million. In washing machines, this year we're going to close at almost 2.4, 2.5 million. Our next in competition is at around 0.6, 0.7 million. So that's what we try to do, but the competitive intensity is there. In mobiles, well, I think amongst the domestic companies, we're the only ones which is really ramped up well. But I'm very sure the competitive intensity is going to increase. And all the more when PLI is over, there's going to be a wave of competition coming in. So from our side, the whole work is internal. And what is that? Again, the scale, nimbleness, and now what we're attempting to do is foray into components. I might be wrong in what I'm saying, but I think for competition to foray into components is going to take a lot of time.
Just one last thing, when we look through the roadmap of what Honhai and others did back in there, the return on equity profile for first few years were very good, but as they backward integrated and other things, the return on equity profile then had a sharp fall. So how should, and I'm sure you must have seen that data as well. So how are you ensuring that you don't go through the same path? What are 1 or 2 things that you are ensuring? Because it could be early days, but I'm just saying from that perspective, because we've seen that happening back there. So how should we look at it?
So when we have done our business modeling and number crunching, including our foray into component sector, at least for next 3 to 5 years. Beyond that, we have not put the business models in place. We feel that we should be 35% plus as far as ROC is concerned.
So just one last thing, what worries you today as you stand?
Well, there is so much on plate, it's a highly labor-intensive work. execution, digitization, talent acquisition, manufacturing execution systems. Dixon's growth has been because we have been able to drive a sense of ownership in our people. But as you grow larger, you tend to become slightly bureaucratic, and that really scares me. You need to be process-oriented, but can you be nimble like a startup? Can you have that sense of ownership because you're empowering your people who are the P&L heads? But can you really carry on like that? Because these are extremely critical things. You're growing at 50, 60, 70%. And then customer satisfaction, any customer just shifting, competitive intensity. So there are too many things on the plate.
Great, sir. Thank you so much.
Hello, sir. Thank you for sharing the view of the manufacturing, electronic manufacturing all. Sir, what's your preparation and what is the strategy to tackle any government policy? Because Dixon is best example of Make in India policy last decade. So what are your strategies, sir, if you face any obstacles in coming years, so what are your preparation and strategies to continue the growth of Dixon technology in coming days?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
What are your Dixon strategy? What would be the Dixon strategies to continue the growth path of, because last decades is so many Make in India policy generate so many revenue in the term of Dixon technology, utilize the potential of Indian manufacturing space. So what are the strategy to continue the same success path in future, sir?
So we are of a firm belief that the government policy framework needs to be extremely positive for any industry in its stages of infancy. So please appreciate, out of the 14 PLI schemes the government has launched, Dixon is a beneficiary of 5 schemes. In mobile phones, in lighting components, in AC components, in telecom devices, and also IT products. And across all these schemes, we were the first ones to achieve the thresholds prescribed by the government, both on capital investments and incremental revenue. And we have been receiving the cash from the government. So if you see, Dixon's strategy of growth has been very deeply aligned with the government policies. Similarly, the states and the provinces that we have chosen for creating a footprint, they have liberal incentive schemes. Now, there's large cash to come to us from the UP government. We have not yet booked it in our numbers, but there's large cash, and we are sure it's going to come because we are generating employment for them. Similarly, what we are doing in Tamil Nadu, we're expecting a good incentive package. So the whole thing is aligned with the central government policies and the state government policies. They're extremely important. This foray of ours into also non-semiconductor electronic components, I know it for sure that this policy package is going to be announced. Although we have not taken it in our numbers, we know it. So we are very conscious, and we devise our growth strategy in which the government policies play a very important role.
Yeah, hello sir, and thank you very much for the fantastic presentation. My question is, sir, in the recent union budget, there are a lot of incentives for apprenticeship and internship which were emphasized by the government. And considering that your industry or your manufacturing business is extremely labor intensive, there are a lot of benefits which government proposes with regards to payment of PFs and a lot of things which were there. How much benefit can Dixon get from this particular incentive, or I can say the schemes which are being offered by central government?
So in this budget, Honorable Finance Minister has rolled out 3 schemes, which are realized, employment-linked incentive schemes. We are still studying it. There is definitely going to be a significant positive for the company because we are labor-intensive. But just give me some time, because the exact details of the schemes have still not been rolled out by the government. We are waiting for the final details, but overall it looks very positive, yeah.
Thank you, sir.
One last question. So what happened in Bangladesh in the last couple of weeks, does that, in your calibration of either opportunity or risk, does it change anything? Directly, indirectly? I'm just kind of...
Well, in electronic sector, Bangladesh is not exactly a player. So any disturbance there, is it creating an opportunity for us or for India? I don't think so. I don't think so. But at a broader level, I think you need your neighbors to be peaceful. So there should not be any social strife coming into India. So that's what one expects. But as far as the direct intervention for our sector is concerned, I don't see.
Thank you so much, Atul.
Thanks,
That was
Neeraj.
very interesting and a pleasure
Thank
to
you
have
so
you
much.
here.
Thanks a lot.